welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're pulling apart some really fascinating conversations. They get right to the heart of what connects us. You know, like what it truly means to have a real friend.
A deep connection.
Exactly. And also how our experiences in different family structures, sort of nuclear versus joint, how they shape us.
It's fundamental stuff for real.
We've got two pretty insightful dialogues to explore, so yeah, let's just jump straight in and see what nuggets we can uncover.
Sounds good. These conversations, I think they offer a fantastic chance to reflect on that fundamental human need for connection, for support.
Right.
Whether that comes from the friends we choose or, the families we're part of. These relationships are just crucial for navigating life, aren't they?
Absolutely. So let's dive into our first conversation. This one features Ronica and Robin.
Okay.
And it kicks off with Ronica touching on something I think, well, probably a lot of us can relate to.
What's that?
That feeling when life throws you a curveball, and suddenly you see your friendships in a totally new light.
Ugh, yeah, that moment of clarity. It's interesting how she distinguishes right off the bat between different levels of friendship. She mentions having this wide circle, online, in person, but when the going gets tough, there's a clear sense of a disconnect with a lot of them. Have you ever felt that moment where you suddenly realize who's really there for you?
Oh, totally. It's like you're trying to explain what you're going through.
Right.
And maybe people are sympathetic, sure, but they don't quite get it.
Exactly.
Veronica even uses this great analogy. She feels like she's speaking a different language.
That phrase really hits home, doesn't it? That feeling she describes, where you try to share something deeply personal and the other person, well, maybe they mean well,
Sure.
but they just don't grasp the emotional weight or the specific nuances of it all.
It really shows how true connection needs that shared understanding. It goes beyond just, surface chat.
Definitely. And her thought that finding a true best friend is like winning the lottery. Wow. That really emphasizes how rare and just valuable that deep connection feels. What do you think makes finding that kind of close friend feel so special?
I think it's almost like finding someone who just gets you without you having to spell everything out. And Robin then lists some of those telltale signs of a true friend.
What'd she say?
Things like they always show up, they make time for you, support you,
Yeah.
and stand by you no matter what.
See, those aren't just words. It's about consistent actions, isn't it?
Exactly. Actions.
It moves beyond just, liking someone's company
Right.
to a more active, reliable form of support. And this idea of a true friend as a priceless treasure.
That's lovely.
Yeah, that brings joy, comfort, and strength. It really captures the emotional security these relationships give us. Think about those people in your life, right?
Oh, definitely.
The ones who bring that unwavering support.
And then Robin offers another really powerful image.
Oh, yeah.
Comparing those long-lasting true friends to anchors.
Anchors.
Oh, anchors that keep you steady during life's storms. That really paints a picture of resilience, doesn't it?
That anchor analogy is, wow, particularly insightful. It resonates because, well, we all hit those times, don't we? Where everything feels unsteady. And having someone reliable, someone to ground you, that can make all the difference. Think about a time maybe you felt adrift. Was there a friend who was like an anchor?
For sure. And the conversation also touches on this idea of an instant connection.
Ah, yeah.
That moment you meet someone and there's just this immediate sense of belonging. Like Veronica's phrase, "You're my people."
You're my people. I love that. It's that feeling of, I found my tribe, isn't it?
Totally. Sometimes you just click. And those friendships can become incredibly strong. Doesn't matter how long you've actually known each other.
Right.
It really highlights Veronica's point that the depth of understanding is so much more important than just the number of years.
That's such a key insight. You've probably felt that too, a relatively new friendship that somehow feels deeper than some that have, lasted for ages. Absolutely.
It really challenges that conventional idea that deep friendships are only built on time. This conversation shows that shared values, mutual understanding, the quality of interaction that can forge incredibly strong bonds, sometimes quite quickly,
Yeah.
and the ease of reconnecting after periods of silence. That's another key indicator they talk about.
Oh, that's a good one.
Have you ever had that? Where you haven't spoken to a friend in ages, but when you finally connect again, it feels like no time has passed at all.
Yes. That seamlessness is such a great feeling.
What do you think makes those connections so resilient?
I think it speaks to a really solid foundation. comfort, understanding. It doesn't need constant upkeep.
Well put.
And it's lovely hearing Ronica and Robin acknowledge that in each other, calling each other rare finds and anchors.
That mutual appreciation, it really reinforces the strength of their bond, doesn't it?
It does.
That shared recognition, it underscores the authenticity. And ultimately, as they wrap up that part, the core of these true friendships,
Yeah.
it really comes down to just being there to listen.
To listen and understand, even when words aren't enough. It's a simple yet profound need we all share.
Okay, so we've explored the incredible value of those chosen connections, our friendships. Now, let's turn our attention to another fundamental aspect of connection the families were born into, and how different structures can shape our experiences.
All right, shifting gears.
We're moving on to a conversation between Robin and Reka, and they're comparing growing up in nuclear versus joint family settings.
Okay, this is a really insightful comparison. It highlights how different family structures can influence, well, everything, our values, perspectives, daily life.
Definitely.
So Robin grew up in a nuclear family, parents' younger sister, and she's talking with Reka, who comes from a much larger joint family. What about you? What kind of family structure did you grow up in? How do you think it shaped you?
It's interesting to think about. Reka starts by sharing some of the real positives of her joint family experience. Like always having someone around to talk to play with. For a child, that constant companionship must have been, well, huge.
Oh, absolutely. That constant presence of others, it can really foster a strong sense of community from, a very young age. And Reka also emphasizes the learning that happened from the elders.
Right, the intergenerational thing.
Gaining insights into culture, traditions, values. That exchange is such a key characteristic and a potential strength of joint families.
Did you have much interaction with older generations growing up? How did that influence you?
It really paints a picture of being deeply rooted, doesn't it? In family history, shared culture.
Yeah.
And she also mentions that feeling of shared joys and sorrows. Having that built-in support system for the good times and the tough times, too.
That collective experience, it can be incredibly comforting.
Yeah.
Provide a strong safety net. However,
Why is it however?
Reka's also really honest about the challenges, the drawbacks of joint family living.
Okay, like what?
Starting with the practical stuff, a crowded, noisy environment.
Makes sense. And the lack of privacy. That's a significant trade-off, isn't it, when you have so many people sharing one space?
Definitely. And she also touches on needing to constantly adjust to different opinions, preferences.
Which can sometimes lead to disagreements, yeah.
Conflicts.
Navigating those interpersonal dynamics in a larger group, it definitely requires a lot of a compromise, negotiation.
I can imagine.
And Reka also mentions the constraints on freedom, independence, having to follow more rules, expectations.
So less personal autonomy.
It sounds like it. There's a balance to be struck, perhaps, between that strong sense of belonging and the level of, personal freedom. What aspects of personal freedom do you value most in your own living situation?
It's a good question. So then on the flip side, Robin shares the advantages she sees in her nuclear family setup,
Right, the contrast.
highlighting the peace and quiet, greater privacy, personal space.
Yeah, those are often cited as key benefits, aren't they? The ability to have more control over your environment, your time.
Yeah.
And Robin also mentions the freedom to express oneself more, pursue individual interests, hobbies more readily.
That sense of individual expression, being able to tailor your life more to your own preferences, that seems like a big draw for the nuclear model. Do you find you thrive more in quieter environments with more personal space?
It can be appealing. And she also points out the greater flexibility, maybe, adaptability to change that a smaller unit might offer.
Fewer people to coordinate, I suppose.
Exactly. With fewer individuals to consider, nuclear families might find it easier to adjust to new circumstances or make big life changes. However,
However.
Robin also acknowledges some potential downsides,
Okay.
such as feeling lonely sometimes, isolated. That lack of constant interaction, it can definitely be a challenge for some. Have you ever experienced feelings of isolation even within a family?
It's possible, for
Yeah.
sure. And she also mentions maybe missing out on the wisdom and experience of elders.
Yeah, and potentially having less connection to heritage, identity. That intergenerational gap can be significant in nuclear families. It might lead to a bit of a disconnect from broader family history, cultural roots,
That makes sense.
and the feeling of having to deal with problems more independently without that immediate, large family support system. That's another important point. Robin raises.
It really highlights the different kinds of support networks each structure tends to provide, doesn't it?
It truly does.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they both reach this really insightful conclusion.
Which is?
There's no one perfect family type.
Ah, okay. No single right answer.
Exactly. The conversation beautifully illustrates that both nuclear and joint families have their own unique strengths, their own weaknesses.
What works for one might not work for another.
Precisely. Individual preferences, needs, they play a huge role. So, as you reflect on your own experiences, maybe thinking about it now, what do you see as the biggest pros and cons of your own family structure?
It's food for thought. And their emphasis on respect and love. Within any family structure, regardless of size or composition, that really brings it back to what truly matters.
Absolutely. That sentiment, family is family after all, it just underscores the idea that the quality of the relationships, the bonds of affection, that's what truly counts, more than the specific structure itself.
Well said. Just to quickly touch on some of the vocabulary that popped up in these conversations.
Okay. Yeah.
We heard the word storms used metaphorically for difficult times.
Right. Life storms.
Stick, meaning something that remains or endures, like a friendship sticking. Heritage, referring to our traditions. Background, roots.
Important in the family discussion.
Drawbacks, which just means disadvantages.
The cons, yeah.
And conflicts, meaning disagreements or arguments. These words really added some, color to how Ronica, Robin, and Reka described things.
Yeah, paying attention to how those words are used in context really deepens the understanding of the nuances in what they were saying.
Definitely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into friendship and family, it seems pretty clear that both are just incredibly important, but in different ways.
Vital parts of life.
True friendships offer that chosen bond, right? That deep understanding, unwavering support, acting as those vital anchors through life's challenges.
A chosen family, in a sense.
Yeah. And family structures, whether they're nuclear or joint, they come with their own unique sets of benefits and challenges, ultimately reminding us that, love and respect are the cornerstones for any strong family unit.
These conversations, they really serve as a powerful reminder, I think, of our fundamental human need for connection, for belonging,
Totally.
and how these needs can be met in so many diverse, meaningful ways through the relationships we choose and the ones we're born into.
So a final thought, maybe for everyone listening, considering these conversations, what qualities do you value most in your friendships? And thinking about your own family structure, past or present, what aspects have really significantly shaped who you are today?
That's a great question for reflection.
Definitely something valuable to reflect on. Thanks for diving deep with us today.